Yeah. Y'all weren't expecting this one, yeah. It's the Christmas episode, Ugly Unicorns Podcast. We in this thing, man. Hey, it's the Christmas episode. It's the Christmas episode. It's the Christmas episode. What? Woo! Yeah. What up, Ugly Unicorns? Yeah. We in this thing, man. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. It's the Christmas episode. Christmas episode. Hey. Hey, let's be honest. Y'all were not expecting this, man. This is something crazy. This is something a little different, man. Yeah. You know, I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody out there who subscribed. Everybody out there who's keeping it live, who's keeping it real, who's keeping it true. Yeah, it's the Christmas episode. All right, let's cut that off. What up, you ugly unicorns, UX unicorns. Welcome to the UX Unicorns Podcast. It's your boy, Eric Abram. Hey, man, let's just say I tried to get the Christmas episode set up looking pretty Christmassy, right? I got the green light. I got the red light. I got the jammy jams on. I don't have a Santa hat. I couldn't find it in storage. I don't know where it went. You know, you can't ever find these things sometimes. But anyway, I got the jammy jams on with the Ugly Unicorns tee. You look, I'm not joking. I got the jammy jams on. Check this out. I even got the pants on, bruh. I even got the pants, bruh. This camera can see it, and this camera can see it. Yo, if you can't see it, that means you're probably driving in your car, going 60 miles an hour, listen to the voice of a golden goose, this golden voice. So what you need to do is, you need to pull over, go into a parking lot, go into a Wendy's, get you a fry and a drink, and go to YouTube. I can't believe I remember that from the last podcast. Hey, guys, check me out. Like I said, it's Eric Abram in the building, man. We got the Christmas episode. I don't know what the heck I'm going to talk about, but I'm here for you guys. I'm here to get it popping before the holidays. You guys have something to listen to while you open up your new Peloton, which I got. Probably going to return it. Don't really like it. We'll talk about it later. Open up your new iPod, your new iPad, your new computer, whatever you getting, whatever you got. But make sure, if you're on one of those devices, make sure you go to uglyunicorns.com and check the boy out. Speaking of uglyunicorns.com, the website, like I said before, it's being updated as we speak. It's not closed. Don't get it twisted. We don't do that. We take the agile approach. We update as we go. We implement as we go. Like I said, the website is being updated as we speak, but I'm being very, very Christmassy at the moment. So in the lieu of Christmas is on the 25th of December. So I'm going to do is this. The whole website, all the merchandise, all the design kits, whatever you want on there, the mentorship, whatever, I don't care. It's all going to be 25% off site-wide. No matter what you do, what you get, I don't care if you get free stuff. Even the free stuff is 25% off. Eric, how is that even possible? How can something free be 25% off? Well, let me tell you, it's not possible. It's just free. Yeah, the whole website, uglyunicorns.com, is 25% off. Code unicorns25 is automatically going to be on there. I'm fancy, guys. I automatically done it. So if you go to checkout, the code would automatically be implemented on your checkout. So you ain't got to do the code. Some usability. You don't have to put in the code yourself. I already did it. You're welcome. Yeah, what you're welcome. And like I said before, man, the website's been updated and I have time. Why do I have time? Because your boy's on vacation. Your boy is on that vacation. I'm driving the car again. I'm on vacation. Two hands. I'm on vacation, man. I am not going back to work till January 4th. You don't know how excited I am about that. It has been a crazy year, to say the least. The craziest of years, to say the least. And look, we're still in the thick of it, right? We haven't made it out the jungle yet, but you know, with a little spice of life. Also, speaking of spice of life, did you guys notice the screens? I got the Christmas theme on here. Look, I tried, guys. I got the stockings up. If you can't see, I'm gonna switch it to this camera over here. This one you can kind of see. I got the stockings up. I got I think this is Kobe stocking, my dog. This is I'm trying to point. This is my stocking right here, my wife's stocking right here, and this is Lilo stocking, my other dog. So yeah, we don't have any children, but we have dog babies. We have the fur babies, and they're very cute. One is a Dachshund full breed. He's registered through some kind of kennel thing. I don't know. When we got him, he was already registered. That's pretty dope. And then we have our other dog, Lilo. She is a miniature pincher mix with Dachshund, yeah. She's min pin mix, so I guess she's a mutt, but they call her a doxy pin. I mean, they'll brand anything to try to make money, but we got her for like $100 way back in the day. And also, Lilo is turning 6 this month. You guys don't know that. Kobe is also 6. He turned 6, I think, in August. July. And then Lilo turned 6 in December. I got some old dogs. And they don't know any new tricks. They don't even know any tricks. They just like to eat stuff, pee on stuff, sleep, poop, whatever. They're awesome though. They keep you very cuddly and cute, even in the cold months where you can just cuddle up with your doggies, watch Netflix with your wife, and drink some wine and all that good stuff, or some eggnog. I don't even drink eggnog. I don't even know why I said that. Eggnog is probably the worst thing you can ever drink. Do not unsubscribe because of that. I know you eggnog drinkers are like that. He don't like eggnog? We can't mess with him. You can mess with me. I just don't mess with eggnog. That's it, man. Yeah, your boy's on vacation. The website, I keep hitting the mic, man. I gotta get another boom arm. The website, 25% off site-wide. And also, it expires on the 26th of December. Yes, it is only for starting today until the 26th, until the 25th. After the 25th, the discount is over with and everything goes back to full price. So if you want to cop some merch, you want to cop some gear, you want to cop some things, you want to set up a time to talk to me, whatever, get some mentorship / coaching, whatever you want to do, make sure you do that now because it will not go back on discount until the next December. That's it. Once a year, baby. Once a year. Put that value in the bucket. Pop one for yourself. Pat yourself on the back. You did it. You did it. You did it. But anyways, guys, I want to do this podcast because I'm feeling festive, man. I got a lot of time on my hands. I don't know how many podcasts I'm going to do. It's going to be once a week. Is it going to be one every day? I don't know, but I felt pretty good. I felt pretty good today. I felt so good enough. I went to Jiu-Jitsu today to an open mat, and now my back hurts. Yeah, actually, I haven't been to Jiu-Jitsu in probably about a week and a half. I just was feeling like unmotivated to go. Sometimes you go through these highs and lows with like jujitsu and stuff like that. Well, any kind of with anything where you do it for a long time and you're like, you know what? I don't really feel like doing this today. I don't really feel like doing this week, and that's perfectly fine, man. We all go through those different types of deals, and it's okay. You know, I've been training for almost 5 years. You know, I'm still a blue belt, which is insane. We won't get into that. But anyways, been training a long time, man. And sometimes you do something for a very long time. You're just like, I don't feel like doing it today. It's whatever. It's whatever. But you gotta find those different types of sparks. So every now and then I get a new spark to sparks my love for jujitsu again, and I go in and I do it and I go ham and I train, every day, etc. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I need to cut back. I'm only training like 3 days a week though, but I'm doing other things too. So maybe my body needs a rest. That's probably it. My body probably needs a rest, and I think it being cold out kind of also affects the jujitsu. And I also live almost an hour away from my dojo. It takes like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic here in Atlanta, Georgia. And don't ever say I ain't dedicated, because I drive an hour to your school and I'm training, and it's like tons of schools literally within 10, 15 minutes of my house. So don't ever say I ain't dedicated to this cause, because I am, man. I've been doing this for a minute. And so like, yeah, I just been going to the highs and lows of that, man, just trying to find something to spark my interest today. And so what really made me want to go to Jiu-Jitsu today, I got this great message today on LinkedIn. It was awesome. It almost put me into tears. And I reposted it, what she said, and I said, this is the reason why I do what I do. It's because of people like this person I'm about to describe, about to talk about. It's probably unexpected that I'm about to do this, because nobody knows. She doesn't know. People on LinkedIn know. But you know what I'm saying? But reading this message this morning, literally, let's say 8 hours ago, that kind of sparked something inside of me. Like when I was feeling, like I said before, like it's cold outside. I don't feel like training. I don't really feel like doing anything, whatever. And then I read this and I was like, damn, this is the source of energy. This is the source of positive energy that I needed today. This is what I actually needed today. And because of this person right here who gave me that spark of happiness today, which gave me a lot of energy to not only do this podcast for you guys, but also to go do something for myself, which is go do jujitsu. And I go to jujitsu and I realize, dang, I really do love this stuff. Because it's like one of those things, it's like once you go without it, you forget about it. But as soon as you get back into it, you're like, man, this is the reason why I go to jujitsu. I don't go to jujitsu. I mean, I do for myself, but also I do it for the community aspect of it too. I do it for that camaraderie. And not only do I, make friends and make family members there and all the other jazz, I'm also learning how to kick ass. So don't forget that part. So don't forget that part. So I want to give a shout out to, please forgive me for if I butcher your name. I'm not trying to butcher your name. I just don't see this name a lot. So I'm going to try to say it. I know the last name. I'm going to say Mia Nguyen. She is a visual designer, a UX UI designer in, I want to say Spain. She sent this message and tagged me in it on her LinkedIn profile. And this is probably the coolest thing I've seen all day. And it really gave me that energy like I spoke before. So let me just go ahead and read this for you guys. I want to give a shout out to her again one more time. She said, today I found this UX podcast from Eric Abram, and I only just finished episode 1, but I absolutely love it. Like, what the hell? What he said about his experience really resonated with me. When he asked about how he hated just sitting there creating pretty things, I get it. Not long ago, I started to lose interest in doing graphic design. I feel like I didn't really create any value. While my work looks decent enough to satisfy my client, I didn't really want to show anyone because I didn't feel proud of it. I didn't really feel proud of how it looked. And while I was trying to figure out where I went wrong, I bumped into UX. And the more I learned about UX, the more I believe that this is the bridge between me designing pretty things, maybe not functional stuffs, and me creating usable design that is actually beneficial to other people. Okay? Either way, I will most likely to down all episodes. I'm gonna have to maybe say this a little bit differently for her. Either way, I most likely will download all the episodes of the podcast in one day because, yes, there's nothing more satisfying than finding a successful role model, someone who used to have the same problems as you and as you, and they are now able to solve it. So, Miss Wynn, Maya Wynn, thank you so much for your awesome positive comments. I really appreciate that you took the time to even write this to me, and it really just shows, that what I'm doing does make a difference in people's lives. It does help people in their time of need, where they're trying to make that career change. They don't really know where to go. They're looking for some inspiration, and I'm just happy that I was able to be the inspiration for this individual person here. And it's not just her. I mean, I get hit up all the time on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, all the other places and all these other great people. But this particular message really resonated with me because, like, she didn't have to do this. I don't know her. I never talked to her. She lives in a whole different country. And the fact that I'm reaching people not only in the United States, but worldwide is insane. I didn't know that this podcast would even reach that far. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just goes to me not understanding how big of an impact social media can have on our lives, not only for this individual person, but just for me in general. Like, whenever I do these things, I'm trying to give back the knowledge that I accumulated over the years, and that the things that I learned, not only from being a UX person, but being a former graphic designer or a former business owner, et cetera, and trying to figure out a way to bring those things together and deliver it into the podcast and deliver it into the video and deliver it to all these people out there who can probably learn something and gain something from it. Yes, this is called UX Unicorns Podcast. Yes, this is true. And it's geared towards UX design, but some other things will get put into place. Like earlier before I was talking about Jiu-Jitsu, there might be a time where I talk about, business, and I talked about branding yourself, et cetera, et cetera. Those things are not particularly UX focused, but it can help you in your UX career. Because as a UX designer, not only am I designing wireframes and talking to users and doing tests and doing presentations, I'm also talking to stakeholders. And that's what I kind of want to talk about, a little more in depth, is like talking to stakeholders and navigating those particular waters of how to go about, presenting your work, presenting your ideas, getting buy-in for what you're trying to do. I will honestly say, when I got into UX, that was something I was kind of a little afraid about, was like talking to people. You'd be like, how the heck are you afraid of talking to people, Eric? You do this crazy podcast, you do the video, you do all these things where you're always talking. Guys, this is true. This is true, but I'm also talking in front of a camera. The camera is not a person. The camera is a way to me to talk to people through social media, through YouTube, etc. But I'm not talking to a direct crowd of people who I can hear chattering, breathing, and being lively. That's totally different, and having that interaction with. So working with stakeholders has really helped me, be able to speak in person to people, and also give out talks and stuff like that. Because like the last couple episodes ago, where I talked about how I gave a UX talk, talk about my design history, whatever, that was a little nerve wracking, but I kind of treated it like I was doing a podcast because it was through Zoom. And if I ever did one in person, I would just treat it like I'm talking to my stakeholders, like I'm talking to people that I actually know. Sometimes talking to people that you don't really know is really, really scary sometimes, because you don't know like what they're thinking, how they're going to respond, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's one thing that we sometimes do when we go to stakeholders. We kind of get in our own head where we're already saying like, they're not going to like this, or, oh, they're really going to love this. And they humble you really quickly. It's almost like you got to go in there with kind of zero expectations and just kind of see where the conversation can go. Because sometimes the conversation, like for example, I was presenting some designs to one particular set of stakeholders, and they loved it. They had some feedback, but they said like overall it was good. The design was great. The flow was great. We just had to add like one extra screen, and that was it. And in my eyes, that was a great freaking meeting. I scheduled the meeting for, I think the meeting was for an hour or whatever, hour or 30 minutes, and it only took 15 minutes because it was cut and dry. The flow that I created was cut and dry. The designs that I created was, they already seen it before because we have a design system in place that really helps out with that. So there's no thinking involved. The interactions were good, et cetera, et cetera. We just had to add one message screen. That was it. And sometimes, sometimes I'm not saying to always do this, but it's a little strategy too, where when you're making your designs or whatever, maybe you don't do the 100% on purpose. Like, let's say you can go in and create this awesome experience and do these great things, and you knock it out the park. And so when you go into those meetings, people feel like they can't add anything to it, so they might not agree with it because they want to have some input into it as well. And that just goes into the different types of stakeholders. You have stakeholders who they say yes, they like it, they agree, but and that's it. They love everything you do. And you have some stakeholders who they just want their opinion in. They just have to get their way. They just have to be like, no, I wanted to see it this way. Like, no, I want it this way. These people have a huge ego problem, and you have to just let them do what they do, let them get them words out, and then prove them wrong later. It sounds bad to say prove them wrong later, but you have to make sure that they're in actual reality. And I'm sure, and this is what I'm dealing with at the current moment, where I present to one set of stakeholders. They love the design, they have minor input, but overall everything's good to go, right? And then one set of stakeholders, you present the designs to them, and they don't agree with anything that you did because they want to have their input as well. And you got to know when to toe those waters to understand, like, all right, what type of stakeholder am I working with? You're not gonna know on day one, but after a couple of meetings, like, all right, this particular person is very opinionated, and this particular person always wants to feel included. This particular person always wants to be heard. This particular person is living off ego. So what do you do, Eric? Well, this might be counterintuitive to some, but you have to include that person in the process early, not later, but early. How early are you saying, Eric? I'm talking about in the sketch, wireframe, low fidelity wireframe stages. Maybe even before then, because when you're gathering data, but sometimes at a high level, that particular stakeholder could agree with like the overall vision, et cetera, et cetera. As soon as you put together something that they can recognize as far as like visuals go, they might even say like, oh, the flow you did is decent because it's just a couple of boxes and a couple of words here and there. But as soon as you start putting together like actual UI designs, that's when they're going to have the most input and the most feedback and the most pushback, because they can visually see what it looks like. And it's insane that these people, they don't know what they're looking for. They can't really properly articulate what they're trying to say. It's in their head, but they're trying to draw it out, but the drawings don't really make sense. So you have to basically decipher this freaking Da Vinci Code and figure out, hey, so-and-so said this, this, and this, and you put something together and you present it and it's totally wrong, which is fine. Which is fine because maybe you did it wrong on purpose. Eric, what are you talking about? You doing stuff wrong on purpose? Look, maybe I shouldn't say wrong. I'm being very strategic in how I deliver information to this particular type of stakeholder. I'm saying this. Let's say so-and-so said they want A. I'm like, cool. I'll make A, but won't make A to like the fullest extent because I'm trying to have a conversation. And that is the whole point of this. That's the whole point of early stage development, these wireframes and mockups, etc. Is like I won't try to knock it out the park because I don't want to make these people feel like they're excluded in the process. So I might purposely make a design up to a point and say like, hey, what about this? I have questions on this. You said this. And then there we can have an actual conversation. So I deliver some visuals that they can actually see, right? And then we're actually able to have an actual dialogue and talk about like, hey, maybe this should go here. Maybe this could go here. Now we're talking. Now we can visually see what they're thinking. Now we can visually see what was in their head because now they're able to be like, oh, take this piece and move it over here. Oh, and take that and have it say this. Okay, great. Now, because the last thing you want to do is working with that particular stakeholder is go off in a room, make something, put it all together, make it look pretty, do a prototype. This has happened to me. Put the prototype together, do not only the wireframes, the mock-up, do the prototype, and then present the prototype. They're like, wait, what are you guys doing? Why is there a prototype? Now all of a sudden they get scared because they think this is final design because their ego will get in the way and say like, hey, I didn't get any input on this. This can't be right because you guys don't know enough. It's almost like you guys don't know enough. So therefore you can't have a finished design, which could be true, which could not be true. But if I don't know enough, you got to tell me what I need to know to do this job correctly. So therefore, don't tell me don't perceive it like I don't know enough when you don't provide enough information as well. So it goes back and forth. It goes back and forth. That's why you need to have a conversation. You need to have dialogue, et cetera, et cetera. So going back to working with difficult stakeholders, people who have to get their input in, people who have to say something. So when you put together your wireframes or your sketches, make sure these people are included in that process. You'll be like, Eric, but they're just wireframes. Why do I need to include them into the wireframes? Well, fresh UXer, if you present them with something, with a mock-up that looks complete, you will get 100% knocked down for it. Because it has happened to myself where I presented a mock-up and they thought it was the final design. And I was trying to explain like, hey, this is not final design. This is just to start a conversation. They didn't even hear that part. All they could see is what they seen because they seen final designs look like this and they automatically thought like, oh my God, they already finished the design. I'm not included in that. That's not good. So start early in your wireframes. So right now I'm currently putting together the blue steel wireframes that I think Adobe provides a kit with that in their Adobe XD. I just basically took that and I use what I need to use and I edit what I need to edit to create the wireframes that I need to present. And not only does this help me, start conversations, it also helps me move quickly. It helps the conversations move a little bit quickly too, because now we can visually see what so-and-so was probably thinking. And then because so-and-so can see that, they can say, oh yeah, that doesn't work. Because sometimes you have to do this. You have to humble the stakeholder, not in a mean way. What I mean by that is you have to take their idea, right? And design that idea that they have as close to the letter, so that way they won't have any question. Then you present what you thought when you provide your expertise as a user experience designer, and you present that as an option. You say, hey, we took your advice. Here's what you wanted. And then they can see like, oh, what they were trying to make doesn't work for the user because they're not thinking about the user. They're only thinking about the business. That's why stakeholders are there to bring in the business needs a part of it. So you got to try to figure out, how do we take the business need and apply it and mesh it with our users, that way we can have a product not only serves our users, but also makes the company money. Because at the end of the day, companies want to make money, right? But to make money, your product has to be usable. Your product has to be accessible. Your product has to look good, feel good, etc. So people want to use it. So people want to buy it, right? It's that symbiotic relationship that as UX professionals, you have to figure out, because you can't only be an advocate just for the user, right? You have to be an advocate for both, because guess who's paying you? The company you work for. So if you're not looking out for the company you work for, they're not making any revenue, you ain't gonna have a job, homie. So this is, be mindful of that when you're doing those things. You gotta remember, like, all right, we're looking out for our users. This is good for the users, but we also want to make sure that we tackle the business need and how can we incorporate that into the product while helping the users in the process. So yeah, it's just a difficult avenue sometimes for people who are not good at speaking, who are not good at articulating, who are not good at selling themselves. Because when you're talking to stakeholders, dude, you're almost in like a sales negotiation. And the stakeholders that I currently work with, some of them used to be salesmen. I used to be a salesman too. So when they have that little banter back and forth, I'm able to pop back and rebuttal because I've had that job too. I know what that job entails as well. So when you're presenting your designs, you're trying to sell them on this idea as like, oh, this is good. Because sometimes in those meetings, you have to make things make sense, and you have to provide examples that let them make sense. So what am I talking about? So like, let's say somebody says something about why are you doing this and why are you doing this? You try to provide a real world example that they might particularly do. You don't go super abstract, talk about ponies and unicorns and magical dragons. You talk about real world things. You try to bring it back to like super layman's terms. Like, if I were a plumber, would you come in there and tell me how to lay pipe? Okay, so why as a designer do you feel like you can come in and tell me how to design? They're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You try to make it make sense. Or like, hey, when you go to the mechanic, when you go to the doctor, do you tell your doctor what to do? What to do? What sort of procedure that you need? What diagnosis that you have? No, because the doctor is a professional. So why as designers do we get treated like unprofessionals? We don't get treated like doctors and plumbers and electricians, because you wouldn't tell your electrician how to wire a house, but you tell a designer how to design, right? So you want to try to just bring it back to something like that. I'm not saying don't say that, because it could become off offended depending on the type of people you work with. So working with stakeholders, man, it's one of those things that you kind of have to work on. Like, you kind of have to like get into a mirror, maybe practice a few times your pitch, maybe try to figure out, all right, they might have this objection. What's my answer to this? So if you actually work with someone on the team, like say you work with the lead or work with the junior, whatever, you guys come together and you talk about what you're going to be presenting into the meeting and talk about, all right, okay, great. We got this. What are some potential objections that so-and-so might have based on what we're about to deliver? And so you work those out as well before you even go to the meeting. So therefore, you guys are both on the same page. So if so and so has a response to something, he might respond, and then what I'll do is I'll back that response, because I knew that person was going to say that, or that person knew that I was going to say that. So therefore, we have each other's backs, because the last thing you want to do is, especially if you're going in with another UXer, the last thing you want to do is go into a meeting and have conflicting ideas on what you guys are both trying to achieve. That is not the best way to do it. You should not go in divided. You should go in there united on the front. Even if even if what I said was dumb, you should follow up and like, Eric, I can see where you're coming from, but hey, let's say this. Because last thing you want to do is just like put your other UXer on the spot and have them feel like, oh, I said something stupid or so and so didn't agree. But just basically try to like encourage each other, even if you don't agree with what they particularly said. Like, yeah, yeah, that's cool too. But we can also do boom. So that way you're not fighting against each other. You're piggybacking off each other's ideas in the process. Because last thing you don't want conflicting ideas with a headbutt. You want to be able to catapult on top of what that other person said and basically piggyback off that particular idea. Maybe you add something to it to make it seem more well-rounded. That way you're not just straight up neglecting what that other person has said. So yeah, man, that's been my kind of experience working with stakeholders. And it's been pretty interesting, the different types of stakeholders that you see. And you guys are gonna see this as well, as when you're going through the whole life cycle of being a UX designer, man. It's a rough one, man, because not only are you a designer, you're a politician, you're a salesman, you're your own manager. You got to manage your tasks. You're the interviewer. You're talking to all these interviewing all the users, et cetera, et cetera. You're basically your own business, man. And how we like to approach UX designer where we at, and like we try to use like this consulting mindset. And it's like, hey, we're gonna come in like a ninja, unbiased, come in as a UX person in a consulting mindset, and try to get things done. Because we try to look at it from the user's angle, we try to look at it from the business angle as well. Because at the end of the day, you got to make money, baby. Like I said before, you got to make some money. But that's pretty much what I want to talk about today. This podcast is going to be a little short. I don't want to take up your guys' whole holiday. And shouts out to everyone who has ever reached out to me, talked to me. And also, man, shouts out to everybody subscribing to the YouTube channel, man. I'm going to be honest, man. When I started this whole YouTube channel, I want to say, when was it? Shoot, man. When did I start taking it kind of seriously? I think it was back in March. I started doing the whole podcast thing and the whole YouTube thing. And I was like trying to do like the vlogs thing and trying to do different things like that. And I noticed that people weren't really watching the type of vlog videos that I was doing. And I got up to like, I want to say like 50 subscribers. Like I tried like to do like the how-to videos. I still want to do some how-to videos because I like doing design. I like showing people how to do design, but they're going to keep it into a shorter format. So I'm thinking about doing 10-minute type of design videos where like I go through like a wireframe, I go through like a high fidelity mockup, and then I also show you how to do micro interactions and animations to make it all look like an actual product. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know in the comments below, and I will try to do those more because I really enjoy doing those. I do those in my private time, but I might just film one to see how it goes. I did one video where I did a landing page. That shit was an hour long. I'm like, I wouldn't even watch that, man. Let's just be wrong. It was 2 parts too. The first video was an hour. I think the second video was like 30 minutes. I'm just like, I need to work on my editing. Like I need to work on my editing because like it was like literally step by step. I went through like wireframing on paper, going on wireframing and then Adobe XD, taking those wireframes and adding the colors and the pictures. I'm just like, that's the UX process. I get it, but this is also YouTube and people have not much time. So I'm thinking about doing like 10-minute design videos just to keep them short and sweet because if you guys like long form, let me know. I can always make them long form, but I'm thinking like 10 minutes. You know, it's going to be highly edited though. Just be honest. It's going to be highly edited. And some things you probably will miss. You're probably going to miss like, oh, how did he do that? Do this. So I might do like the long form one, but like edit it down to 10 minutes. So basically you have the choice, my friend, my user. You can hit skip and go sign in, or you can fill out this long form. So I'm gonna have the long form one, I guess, and then like the short 10-minute one, if you guys are looking for something like that, because I know not only do I talk about design, I want to show you that I'm about this design life, man. I'm about this, man. I'm about this. But anyways, man, like, shouts out to everybody who subscribed to the YouTube channel. Shouts out to everybody who's listening to the podcast. I would say, like, once I started taking the podcast kind of seriously, because the YouTube channel and the podcast kind of seriously, I had significant growth, man. Like, I went from having only 50 subscribers early in the year to now I have like 340. Now, some people like 340, that's not that many. That's not that many. Well, for me, it is. Like, for me, this is awesome. And I think every last one of you, I appreciate every last one of you 340 subscribers, because you guys are the reason why I do this thing. Whether I get to 1,000 to 1,000,000 subscribers, does not matter. I'm always going to rock with the new UXers. I'm always going to rock with all you people who are trying to make that change, man. And that's because that's what it's all about. And that's the reason why I do what I do. You know, and it goes back to the message that I got to on LinkedIn today. That's the reason why I do what I do, man. When I see stuff like that, man, it really puts a lot of energy into my body, and it's like, man, I want to go out and do this now. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I get comments on YouTube all the time, man. But like, it's awesome when I see these positive comments that come through and they talk about like, yo, man, I really resonated with what you talked about in that one video. That's kind of what I'm going through right now. It's like, yo, man, that's awesome. I'm glad I can connect with somebody through social media. That is insane. This is so cool that we're able to do this. We're able to connect with people through social media. That, in other words, I wouldn't even have known these people otherwise. We go back to like the early 90s. I wouldn't have known these people. I wouldn't be able to contact these people or get in touch with these people. So this is amazing. So like, in the last 28 days, I've gained 95 followers, like on YouTube. That's pretty cool. And some people might say like, well, that's not that many. Like, for me, this is awesome because like, I didn't start taking this seriously till a few months ago, and look how much it's grown. But yeah, guys, I really do appreciate it, man. Thanks for everybody who's out there, who's subscribed, who's commenting, who's leaving me messages. Hey, I know I haven't gone through all the messages. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. There's a couple people out there have not answered. Trust me, I'm trying to answer you guys. But at the same time, make sure you go to the podcast. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, because sometimes I might shout you out and I might have your answer within the podcast. So you never know, because like sometimes it's hard to do direct responses. Is being able to see, it'd be beneficial for someone to hear the response that I give to a particular question that you might have, because that person might have the same exact question. So it's better for me to do it all like that versus like repeating myself 101,000 times. And I get, not only do I repeat myself, but like people always hit me up on LinkedIn and ask me like, hey, how did you get into UX and all the other jazz? Like, I would say this: listen to podcast episode 1, or go to YouTube and listen to the podcast where I'll talk about how I got a UX job in 3 months. That would kind of lay out. It's 30 minutes long, so it's pretty in depth. I would say go to that video and watch that video. Go to that podcast and listen to that podcast. That way you can kind of know my story a little bit. And I talk about my story in every podcast because it doesn't feel real to me sometimes. Like, I can't believe like almost a year ago, I was not in this position. I'll say, how long have we been doing this? Almost 2 years now. Almost 2 years ago, I was just making things look pretty, making them pop, make the logo bigger. I was doing all that shit, man. That was me about 2 years ago. Now look at me now. I'm actually passionate about what I do. I didn't do a podcast on graphic design. I've been a graphic designer for almost 10 years. Did I do one podcast on it? No. That should tell you something too. That how like positive this experience has been for me, where I'm like, I'm doing a podcast on a topic that I go to work for. And I didn't do that in the past, man. So, guys, do you guys like the setup? Christmas setup? You guys like it? I'm glad you guys like the Christmas setup. But hey, let's do this. Let's do this right here, Poppy. Hold on. Let's crank it up. We about to crank this up. You know it's about to go down. You know it's about to go down, right? Hey, 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 hey. We about to end this podcast off right, man. If you in your car, if you in your house, start dancing right now. Pop, go. It's the Christmas episode. It's the Christmas episode. It's the Christmas episode. I'm about to rap. It's the Christmas episode. I hope you all enjoy. Make sure you go and snap you on almond joy and spread some joy to all the kids, to everybody out there watching the vids. I appreciate ya, all 340. I hope that we make it past 340. Eventually we will, because the podcast UX Unicorns is here to kill. I ain't playing no more games. Make sure you go to the website and cop some things. This is crazy. This is just that freestyle flow. It's that Christmas episode. I know you want more. It's the EA. That is my nickname, but I go by Eric Abram. It's all the same. And once again, and don't forget, don't just be a unicorn. Be an ugly unicorn. Peace.